At St. Alphonsus Medical Center, Ontario, we're so fortunate to be able to continue the ministry started over 100 years ago by our brave founding sisters. They served in Portugal initially, having come from their native Ireland. They were serving as teachers, and that's all they knew. They met Peter Bowie, who our bishop from Baker had sent. Father Bowie asked if they would come and serve in Oregon, the true frontier at the time. But ever graceful, ever faithful, and responsive to God's call, they said yes. When they arrived, they got some breaking news from the bishop. He said, "Wait, we want you to open a hospital in Ontario, 70 miles down the road." Again, with bravery, faith in God, they answered the call. They were teachers, not hospital administrators, not nurses, not bedside caregivers, not doctors. But they learned how to run a hospital from other groups of sisters running hospitals across the state. They worked with community leaders to raise the funds and build the building that we serve in today. And a year to the day after they arrived in Ontario, they saw the first patient. Now, over 100 years later, we're carrying the torch forward that they lit, and we're privileged to do so.
We've been open every minute, every hour, every day for 100 years. That's really 36,500 days. We figure we've delivered over 60,000 babies in the communities that we serve. We've seen about 2 million ER visits in that time. An incredible legacy. This is a place that miracles happen, often. And you have to be prepared for those miracles to happen. With dedicated staff, well-trained and solid physicians, an environment that is soothing and peaceful for our patients and families, a clarity of purpose, and a mission-driven focus. That's what we're about. We're so grateful to be able to serve our communities in 100 years like we have. And we look forward to beginning our second century of powerful healing.
While the sisters were raising money and support to build the hospital, they erected a tent and provided art lessons to the community. This was just one source of fundraising. They also met so many in the community and around, cowboys, sheep herders, railroad workers, who all donated toward the construction of the hospital. That money went to pay the $5,000 to acquire the land that the hospital sits on now and to erect the first building, which still stands today. The hospital's first patient was Mrs. Turner of Payette. Her surgery was a great success, and she recovered in room 5 on the 2nd floor of the hospital.
The operating suite was nothing more than a large room in the corner of the hospital, and there was no air conditioning. In the summertime, we got air by opening the windows, and we were protected by a screen. However, the screens had holes ripped in them, and it was a fight to try to keep the flies out. And one of the chores of the nun that did the circulating, instead of paying attention to the operation, would walk around trying to swat out the flies during surgery.
Holy Rosary Hospital has seen several common illnesses and withstood some of history's most frightening epidemics, such as typhoid, Spanish influenza, and polio. One case significantly tested their abilities when a Mr. Lundell's was severely electrocuted and badly burned. After several days wavering between life and death, amputation of one arm and fingers from the other hand, the doctor decided to attempt skin grafting, which was relatively unheard of at the time. In doing so, Holy Rosary became one of the first locations in the West to attempt this cutting-edge therapy. Mr. Lundell's recovered with great success.
Holy Rosary at that time had some very, very dedicated physicians and very dedicated clergy. The sisters ran the hospital. Sisters were head of every department. There was nobody else heading a department. Every one of them was done by one of the nuns. And they were very dedicated. They were 24/7, and if there was a problem in the middle of the night, they were here. And they always kept things clean, and they always kept things pleasant. And The nuns were always visiting with the patients and asking what we could do for them. So it was, that aspect of it was just ingrained in the hospital. Most of us in our era didn't make much money, but we had the reward of patient gratitude and the feeling that we had been able to help somebody. That was the prevalent atmosphere at the time.
Back in the days when the sisters were really active, and they were more like charge nurses, I was always gratified with the depth of devotion that they had in the care of the patients. And they set the tone for the professionalism among the lay nurses on the staff. And I think they helped make the hospital what it was back in those days.
My name is Gretchen Couch. 1 year ago, I suffered a heart attack at the age of 37. I was working out at home and began to feel a heaviness in my arms and felt like acid indigestion in my chest, and I'd never had heartburn before. Being the age I was, you don't think that it can happen to you. And thankfully, my husband was persistent and brought me into the emergency clinic. I was worried that they would look at me and think, oh, she's fine, you know, probably anxiety, and just shove me in the waiting room. And so when they brought me back quickly, I was relieved, and their team just worked very rapidly and provided the care that I needed. And thanks to them, I'm here another day. So I'm very grateful to the team at St. Alphonsus.
So much has changed in the 100 years since those brave founding sisters opened this hospital. Holy Rosary Hospital became Holy Rosary Medical Center, and most recently became St. Alphonsus Medical Center, Ontario. But what has never changed is our commitment to continuing their healing ministry, the healing ministry of Jesus. Our commitment to healing the mind, body, and spirit of all who touch our health system. We take care of everyone, regardless of their ability to pay, regardless of their status in life. It is often said that we stand on the shoulders of giants, the giants who came before us. In our case, we're standing on the shoulders of those brave founding sisters who opened this hospital over 100 years ago.